All right, it is the eve of the first round of the NBA playoffs. We still got a couple of play-in games tonight, but I wanted to do something different for this video and for the listeners. We are going to rank every first round playoff matchup just based on a number of factors: entertainment, X's and O's, star power. There's going to be factors listed in here, and I'm going to rank each series in terms of the ones that I am most interested in. I know the 1-8 matchups haven't been set in either conference, but I will be accounting for any team that wins their play-in matchup tonight. Actually, I was going to start off with number 1, but we are going to keep it interesting and count down. You know, make you stay and watch the video a little bit. But let's start with all the way down at number 8. And it's like 3 tiers in between number 8 and number 7. That's how little I am interested in this series. But whoever the Celtics are going to face in the 1-8 matchup, they are just going to smash them. I was a little more intrigued if Jimmy Butler would have been able to stay healthy, but he has that MCL, and it looks like he's going to be out for multiple weeks, so that includes the first round. And if the Bulls win tonight, which I actually think the Bulls will win tonight, especially now that the Heat don't have Jimmy Butler, I think the Celtics are going to sweep either team. And if the Celtics don't sweep either team, then to me, that just shows that they still have problems where they are unserious in the playoffs and play with their food, much like how they played with their food against the Atlanta Hawks last year. So I'm least interested in that series by far, not even close. Then we go to number 7, and this series would have been much higher had either the Kings or the Pelicans just stayed healthy to end the year. The Pelicans obviously lose Zion in what was the best game of his career, and that sucked. If Zion was healthy, Pelicans Thunder would be shooting up my rankings. It would be arguably top 3 or 4, because I think the Pelicans present a unique matchup for the Thunder. All those wings, they really don't have anyone to guard Zion. The Thunder are light in the ass a little bit, so they could pound the Thunder on the glass, even though the Thunder have been an average rebounding team since the All-Star break. But whether it's the Kings or the Pelicans, the Kings may be able to give the Thunder a better matchup. I still like the Pelicans because they have a lot of good players, but I necessarily don't trust CJ McCollum right now or Brandon Ingram. But maybe without Zion, Brandon Ingram can feel more empowered. But you know, if both these teams were healthy, either one of these matchups would be fine with me and it would shoot up the rankings. But regardless of who comes out, I'm going with Thunder in 6. Thunder in 6 over the Pelicans, and then Thunder in 6 over the Sacramento Kings if the Kings were to win tonight. Then we go to number 6, and this is where it starts to get a little bit more fun. I'm not interested in seeing another sweep from the Nuggets and the Lakers again because I think Denver's clearly going to win this series, but I do think the Lakers have a better chance of not letting this be a sweep. LeBron and AD, they're getting their toughest matchup in the first round, so theoretically they'll be more healthier than as opposed to having a deep playoff run and being exhausted. So maybe the 39-year-old can have a little bit more gas in the tank, but I just think the Nuggets starting 5 is way too good. And honestly, I think Jokic, probably one of the best problem solvers in NBA history. Not probably, that was a dumb qualifier to put in there. He is one of the best, if not the best, problem solver in NBA history. There's a few others in there. I think he solved Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis can have a great series, and there will be absolutely nothing he will be able to do with Jokic. And I just think that's the main crux right there. There's other factors in there, but that is the overwhelming factor right there. I got Nuggets. I'll go Nuggets in 5. I'll give the Lakers a bone here. I really think no one's beating Denver to come out of the West. Then we move to number 5. My Sixers against the New York Knicks, and I think this is going to be a slugfest. How Embiid looks, whether he's 50, 60, 70%, that's obviously going to be a big factor. But you got the 2 guards, Jalen Brunson, Tyrese Maxey. Are the Sixers going to throw the kitchen sink at Jalen Brunson and just basically make everyone else beat the Sixers? What type of coverage do the Knicks give to Joel Embiid? Do they play it safe at first and see how that knee is and let him go one-on-one? Or will they send massive help? How is Embiid moving on the defensive end? Those are all going to be factors. I think it's going to be a physical series. And, I'm going to get killed for this. I'm going Sixers in 6. And then we get to the top 4, and I think there is a clear gap between number 4 and number 5. I am very interested in this Pacers-Bucks series for a number of reasons. One, obviously, the whole Ballgate thing. Obviously, the Pacers won the season series in the regular season against the Milwaukee Bucks. Giannis not being there, that's a big problem on a Bucks team that already had a tough time stopping people. They already couldn't stop the ball with Giannis in there, but now they don't have one of the special weak side help defenders in NBA history to clean up messes. It's going to be a lot of Brook Lopez trying to put out a lot of fires at the rim. And the Pacers have just been playing great since the All-Star break. And the Pascal Siakam era, the Pacers have trended towards an average defense, which, with the offense they have, if they just have an average defense, things can get scary for the Bucks. I actually am really worried about the Bucks. Dame has had a down year. Doc still doesn't know if young players exist or not. Sorry, Andre Jackson Jr., who should be playing a lot in this series, hopefully. And I just feel like this Pacers team is coming in with a lot of confidence, knowing what they can do to beat the Bucks now that they don't have Giannis, who, quite frankly, the Pacers could not stop at all. So now they just have to worry about Dame, and Dame's had a down year, not the superstar production Bucks were hoping for. And if the Bucks get eliminated in the first round again, it's going to be an interesting summer, and that's another reason why I'm interested in watching this series, because I wonder if we're going to be witnessing the catalyst or the start of some off-season changes maybe. We could all see it possibly develop in this series, but I'm going Pacers in 6. Then we go to the Phoenix Suns and Minnesota Timberwolves. And the Suns, man, they really did a good job avoiding the play-in, because there were times where it's like, oh, that offense looks really good. The big three of Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, and Bradley Beal, it just works. I wonder what type of lineups Frank Vogel is going to use, because is he going to still play guys like Drew Eubanks? I just wonder what type of lineup combinations Frank Vogel is going to find, because I feel like if I were to just keep it a stack, I really would only trust 7 players in the Suns rotation right now. You got obviously the big three, Yusuf Nurkic, Grayson Allen, Royce O'Neal, who has been great for them, and I think he's going to be closing in a lot of lineups for the Suns, and Eric Gordon, who, I don't know, Eric Gordon has had a weird season, but I still trust him in the playoffs just as somebody that could provide some lineup versatility for the Suns. And then on the other side, you got the Wolves, who have the best defense in the NBA. They have the Defensive Player of the Year, a rising star in Anthony Edwards, who actually struggled a bit in the regular season series against the Suns. That's one of the reasons why I'm not taking stock in the fact that the Suns won every matchup against the Timberwolves. Anthony Edwards, I think, is going to shoot better. I think this is going to be a awesome series, a truly awesome series. The matchups are going to be interesting. How is Karl Anthony Towns going to look coming back from, meniscus surgery? And it looks like he's coming back a little bit earlier than expected. And the Wolves need his offense. The Wolves' crunch time offense is going to be something to watch in the playoffs, because they have struggled all year as an offense, especially in crunch time. And the problems kind of remain the same when Karl Anthony Towns went out, but Towns still provides you 22 points a game on 50-40, nearly 90 shooting. Who am I going to pick? I'm going Timberwolves in 7. Then number 2, I kind of did a 20-minute video talking about this series just because I am very interested in all the factors coming into this series. But Cavs Magic, 2 young teams, one team that, if the Cavs get booted out of the first round again, I think we're going to see some major changes this summer. So this is a very big series. This is a very big series for Evan Mobley and Darius Garland. The Magic right now are just playing with all the house money in the world. They've had a great season, 47-35, a hellacious defense, a young star wing duo in Paolo Banchero and Franz Wagner. And they have guys like Jalen Suggs, Gary Harris, Jonathan Isaac, who is one of the elite defenders on the planet. They just have a bunch of stuff to throw at Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell. Will Mitchell be healthy enough? I talked all about that in my last video. I'll put the link in the description below because I really do think behind the next series that I'm going to talk about, I really do think Cavs and Magic is going to be fascinating. It's going to be a rock fight. There's going to be some low-scoring games, but there's going to be some young, up-and-coming players that are going to show off their talent. And I just feel like the Magic are going to give the Cavs problems. They tanked that game against the Hornets to get into that 4th seed, thinking that the Magic were going to be a better matchup to get out of the first round and meet their season expectations. This is not going to be a gimme win for the Cavaliers. But either way, I got Magic in 6. And then, of course, number 1, it goes without saying, the trilogy, the Mavericks and the Clippers. And by the way, people that have been previewing this series have incorrectly stated that the Clippers and the Mavericks are 1-1 in the last 2 playoff series. No, the Clippers won both playoff series. And in the most recent one, Kawhi Leonard saved the Clippers season with just some spectacular performances. And that is the one major thing going into the series. And it's a bummer because Kawhi has been relatively healthy all year. All NBA caliber, was on the fringe discussions of the MVP conversation. And we don't know how healthy he's going to be. It looks like he's going to be available for game 1. I saw a report that he got an injection in his knee. That's never good. So I'm wondering how Kawhi looks. I'm waiting to see if I want to see if James Harden can bounce back because he has been high-key not the same player that we saw early in the season and for that 2-month stretch where the Clippers were one of the best teams in the NBA and everybody loved the Clippers coming out of the West, even though I never thought they were going to beat the Nuggets. Even I was like, this team can go to the Western Conference Finals, right? And James Harden just hasn't looked right. And then we'll see what happens with Paul George. If the Clippers get eliminated by the Mavericks, who are a much more dangerous team coming into this series than the previous 2 series, there's going to be a lot of questions about the Clippers coming in the offseason, man. And that, I'm sorry, that just looms over everything. There's the X's and O's stuff, but there's also the drama that I'm interested in. And yes, that does matter somewhat in these rankings. I'm very much interested in all the star power with Luka, Kyrie, Kawhi, Paul George, James Harden. But the implications if the Clippers lose this series are big. I don't know what's going to happen. Paul George still hasn't agreed to a contract extension with the Clippers, and they could have gotten that done a long time ago. So what happens if they get eliminated in the first round? What's Steve Ballmer going to do? What's that front office going to do? And then on the Mavericks side, Luka has just not had a better co-star than Kyrie Irving. Kyrie Irving has been spectacular this year. They have melded well together. The trades the Mavericks made at the deadline have just worked out in a way that I think even the most optimistic people about those trades did not expect, including myself. They just look like a whole new different team. The last 25 games, they have been flat out one of the best teams in the NBA, and they have a top 3 to 5 player in the NBA who the Clippers have the personnel to guard him, but no one can guard Luka Doncic, and he is still going to give the Clippers buckets. This series is fascinating on multiple levels. The lineups, the small ball lineups they can throw out there. Ivica Zubac has to be fucking pissed because this is going to be another series with the Mavericks where they are just going to involve him in a bunch of screen and rolls, and Luka's going to point at Zubac and the man he's guarding, and he's going to be like, come here, set the screen. Zubac, time to dance in space, buddy. And it's going to be a fascinating series. I think this series is truly a coin flip. I think the Mavericks have a legit shot at beating the Clippers. But that Kawhi Leonard is just a playoff monster. But his health is just a big factor in this. What am I going to pick? I'm going Clippers in 7. I've mulled it over all week, but I'm going Clippers in 7.